Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I've done a YouTube video because I've been busy working on this big project I'm working in Inventor. And while I was working on my project, I came across this 20 Inventor 2022, and that is model state. And I use model state a lot and I love it. It's kind of a bit like dynamic blocks in AutoCAD, but is this is just in 3D. It's kind of like a breakthrough because Inventor has never had kind of like dynamic changes within your 3D. It was kind of, I would say, impossible, but they have finally brought it, and I just feel that I had to make a video concerning this. It works super good, and it's gonna save you a lot of time. And I love the way they have integrated into Inventor. So that is why I'm making this video now for you guys. So without further ado, guys, let us get into this video. Welcome back, guys. So, like I was explaining you in the intro, the model state is something new within Inventor. It started from Inventor 2022. So, what model state exactly is that just like in dynamic blocks, you can use your same part. You can make multiple states of it within one part. So instead of having, before it used to be that it used to make a copy of every, how to say it, Inventor before 2022 used to make a copy of every part if you want to have some type of dynamic part. It was called, according to me, it was called a table. It used to work with a table. So then what it would do is for every different configurations you have of a part, it would save it as a separate part locally. So you would have your master part, and then you would have your subparts, which Inventor would generate automatically. The problem with that was that the parts individually would also be saved on your computer, of course. But let's say if you deleted one of those parts, then you will get an error. Or you will have to have you will have so much copies of different of the same parts just because you have different configurations of each and every configuration basically. So imagine you had like 10 different configurations of a certain part, then you would have that part saved 10 times on your computer. It would save it automatically in a subfolder, but it would just be it just yeah, I didn't really like it because then you would have so much parts. Imagine you would have 1,000 configurations and you have the part 1,000 times saved into your hard drive. So now Inventor, I don't know how they did it, but I love that they did. They came out with model state in 2022. And what this does, instead of saving copies, they made it so it will still configure and make different configurations of the part, but it wouldn't save an extra copy on your local disk. I do not know how it works, how they did that, but thank you very much, Autodesk. So now, and it works also with Excel. It works actually with the Excel list. So you can easily um, copy paste values instead of having to type them each and every row and then fill in all the rows manually. So that is also a big help because that was a kind of tedious job when you had to do that with your table in the old way of configuration, and then having to copy paste all those rows one by one and still having to change them one by one. According to me, you couldn't even copy paste it. You had to literally just start a new row and still have to fill it in one by one. So this is really a big upgrade from the table configuration states that it had in the old inventors. So I am starting with this part right here. It is actually, um, how you call it, a bracket. So you have a ceiling bracket, that is this right here, and this is my wall bracket, that is this right here. And I made already a list of like this is the wall bracket, and you have them in two sizes, which is this size, this small one here, and this one right here. You have two sizes. So that is what I mean with configuration. So within one part, I want to be able to use this one and also be able to use this one without having to make multiple parts. I also would like to be able to use this configuration and also this configuration. So they are different. Oh yeah, and by the way, this also have different lengths, so that is also a configuration from this part also. So here you can see this is this one, and this one here is this one right here. So let's start with this one right here. So this one's very easy because it has no lengths. It's just one static part, and this is just one static part. The only difference is that they have two different measurements. So I've already added, for each measurement that is different in the two configurations, I've added a label, and those labels I've already added it to my parameters, which are here. So these labels are here. So then I fill this in correctly, and that would be my configuration for the first one. So basically I already did the first one. I just have to now fill it in for the second one. So how does model state works? First of all, it starts off with the master. So let me go back to the master. I'm going to delete the copy of the master I already did. So here you can see the master. That's basically your master part. And then you just right click on your master and then copy it. Then you can then rename it. So then this one I will rename to this right here, to 195. That is the name of this configuration right here. So that is the one that is here. Now you, to activate, you just double click it, or you can just right click and then press activate. Once it's been activated, you can see that the activate button disappears. You can just copy it, or you can change the properties. So first of all, let us start with a 2-195. That is this part right here. And I don't want to be able to see this part because this is not part of it together. It's just one, this part right here. So now we can go ahead, and what we're going to do is to get rid of this part right here. I am going to go ahead and suppress this. So once this is suppressed, Inventor will remember that, hey, with this model state right here, those parts are suppressed. So then we save that right there. So now let us go ahead and copy this one. And let us make a copy of that one because this one is a copy of this. So now we fill in this code right here. That is what I want my model set to be named, 2-100-203. So 2-100-103. That is this configuration. So now that I have made the model state for the other one, now I have to go ahead in my parameters, and all I have to do now is change my values that we have right here. So first of all, let us go for AL1, that is 260. So right here we have AL1, and this one is also 260. Let us see what else. The AL2, that's 110. So here we have 110. The AL3 is 278. 278. The L4 is 130. 130. This one right here is 230. 150. Let's see what else. 7 is 203. And last but not least, 8 is 125. I know this out of my head. So that is 125. So now we have this right here. As you can see, it is very different from the first one. Now I see that there is something strange going on right here. Okay, I understand. What is this? So in this case, as you can see, the thickness is much different than what I wanted it to be. So in order for me to change the thickness for both configurations, so all configurations, first of all, I would rather go to my model, my master, and then from my master select all. That's to toggle between all so that it will be changing all states. Now let us go right in here. And right here, instead of assigning it to 75 directly, I would like it to be 2.5 always. So it doesn't matter what the diameter is of the hole, the distance between the thickness of my pipe will always be 2.5. So that was incorrect the first time. So now if I go back to this one, as you can see now, the thickness is still 2.5 because I have changed it. I have toggled and changed it for all. If you do not press the toggle mode, then it won't change it for all, but it will just change it for this specific active model state. And that's why I toggled here and selected make sure that they are all currently editing, as you can see, currently editing for all, or just currently editing one. So that's something you have to keep in mind when you're doing this. So now we have made our second configuration, which is this one right here. And one last thing that is different is this one does not have this profile in it. It is plain. So let us look for that profile within this one right here. And let's suppress that also. Perfect. No errors. So now we have two configurations, which is the two 195 and the two 100 203. So let's test it out. As you can see, it works perfectly. And then go to the next one, and it works also perfectly. And this is all within a table that Inventor has came out with. So now to see the table or the Excel sheet that controls this part, you have to actually just right click on the folder model state and select edit via spreadsheet. So instead of filling it in on my parameters, you can also fill it in right here. As you can see, here we have the extrusion is suppressed, which one are suppressed and which one are computed. Remember we compressed the other one in these two states. So that is why this one, the master, it has computed and the others are suppressed. Here you can see that the values are different depending on the state you're in. And right here, the profile that we suppressed in the second model state is suppressed right here. And in this one is computed. Make sure you also save, even though you don't change anything, but just always save. And then you exit it. So now we have two model states. Now, that's these two right here. Now we want to make this one right here. So this one is actually the other one that we did not, that we suppressed, meaning these things right here, extrusions right here. But first of all, let me show you how you can also edit the eye properties individually. So every state have its own eye properties also. Whereas before you had to change the eye property will be changed of the whole apart. Now the eye properties, you can also change it per model state. So that works perfectly. So now here we can see that my part number, I will leave it like this for this tutorial sake. I will then change it perfectly next time. But it is a system 100 and not the same as the other one. And let me see what else information do I want to change. I think for now we'll just leave it like this. I changed this one alone, and this one cost let's say 100, and the other one, this one right here, first we have to activate it, of course, to be able to change the eye properties. And this one costs, let's just say 75. This is correct. Now let's remove this right here and just save it. So now if you go into your edit spreadsheet, you can see that everything that is different in the states, it will add it to the spreadsheet. So whatever is different from each other, it will add it to the list or column. So here you can see description was added to the column in a new column, and estimated cost was added to a new column because they are different in the two different states. If it is the same, let's say you decided you want to make it the same. Let's say here you decided to make it the same as this one. You can still make it the same. It will still, the column will still exist here on the list, but the only difference is that um, they will all remain, it will be the same if you want to make it the same. And you can delete the column, but if you delete the column, what Inventor will do is the active one, it will rename all the other states for that active one. So let's say this one is this name right here. Then if I deleted this column, let's say I deleted this column, that is just deleted and save. What it will do is Inventor will still add a column to, uh, of course, the eye properties is still, the column still exists, but let's say in this one, remember this one I just changed it to 100. If I go now into this one, it is now 75 because I deleted a column. So the active one, Inventor would just rename all the others to the active one, um, to the field that the value from the active one. So deleting columns is not really a big deal, but um, it would just rename all the others the same as the active one because it has to fill in a value. Regardless, it have to fill in something since it has a value already. Okay, so that was that. So now let us go and make one more. This one right here, these two right here. And now instead of just copying it, I want to show you how to make it from a row in Excel. So now let us go here. And now here, I want to add one. It is called, yeah, let me just name it like this. I will copy paste this right here and paste it. I will remove this. And what I like to do is just bring it down. Bring this right here. And then I can decide what do I want to save and what do I don't want to save. This one right here, we have to compute it. That is that is the thing where we suppress the first time. And these can remain the same because I will not use these. I will use now the B's, the BL. So that is how you make an extra row, an extra model state from in the Excel. So now if I close this right here, it will add it to the list. As you can see now, it is added. Now I need to now suppress this part right here that I'm not going to use anymore. So I just select everything that I don't need and I just suppress it. So like I was said, now if I go to my Excel spreadsheet, as you can see, new columns were added. That is because now I suppressed the extrusions 3, fillet 1, shell 1, hole 1, extrusion 5. As you can see right here, they are all suppressed in this model state. So it's computed in this part, in this model state, and it's suppressed. These are suppressed in this model state. So as you can see now, we have this part right here. So now this one is my console for the ceiling. And for my console for the ceiling, these values are the ones that I fill in. So now I have the 250 80 and that is has a value of 249. So now I have to go into my FX and right here, what did I call that? B1. And the value is 249. 47, sorry. Perfect. So 247. And now instead of me adding, copying and pasting that over and over again, it is quicker to just go into your Excel spreadsheet once the first one is added correctly. And what you can do then is just, if you know how to use Excel, just go ahead and drag it down so it could make the rest. Let me see. I think it's 8 of them I needed. So the first one is 247. The second one is 484. And then 731. 980. 1250. 1500. 1750. 2000. And I need one more. 2500. The price you can also change the same way. I would though advise is as you see the format of the price is very tricky. So depending, sometimes Excel have different formats than did this was right here. As you can see, it's just a number format. But if you try to change it from here, well, I had a problem. If I try to change it from here, it will turn into a number instead of a standard. So if it changes it into a number, then Inventor would add two more zeros behind of it because it don't see the comma as a point cents, but it sees a comma as thousands. So depending on your yeah, how to say it, depending on your settings of your Excel, it would adopt those settings. But then just keep in mind that this might be an issue to change it from here. What I like to do is this one, I would just change it in Inventor itself instead of changing it right here. Now this right here, I don't want it to remove the 80. The only problem with this right here is that you have to make sure before you close Excel to make sure that your value, your members of your model states, so in the member column, that you do not have duplicates. If you do have duplicates, it will show you an error. And sometimes, I guess because it's still fairly new, if you have duplicates and it gives you an error, then your whole Excel list won't work anymore. Then you would have to do it over again. Then it will continue giving you errors for some reason. So that is something maybe Inventor has to work on. But I am not complaining because they have come a far way. I love the fact that this is even possible. So let's just give them time to work out these little glitches. So here you can see my model, my members have appeared because I've added them to my Excel list. So now if I click on the others, as you can see, my column gets longer based on the value I filled in. So you see, this is what I meant. This is a problem what always happens to me. I don't know why it happens, but that's a next problem with the conversion from commas to apostrophes and those type of stuff. So here in my properties, instead of me filling it in from Excel, I would just go ahead here and just change it myself. So that we made those. So now the same way I would like to make this right here. Exactly the same way. So I would just copy this one or whichever one you want. You can copy the active one, it doesn't matter. And this one has a different code. Let me see, 100 in front. So 100 and remove the one. Let us see, 1750, yes. This one starts out with 500. So let me just, you know what, let me just leave it like that. Okay, so let us go to this one right here. And this one right here, we have different values, of course. The B values, this one is B2, and B2 is here 150. This one is 250. Let me double check. Yep. And the 4 is 125. What is the error? Let me see. Okay. So we're getting an error because, as you can see, this right here is much smaller. So the same way like the other one, what we did, now we just close it off, go to my select all, and then go right back in here, and let's just make it bigger. So instead of having one static value, we have to just make it based on the measurements of the basic. So now it's fixed. So now you can see the 125 works. And that was it, I guess, for that. So now let us go into our Excel again. It's quicker to fill it in from our Excel than to have to make them one by one. So this one is 1751. Let me see that it's also in the list. So let us just add it. Now, if you have spaces in between the first one and the last one and the one before the last, what Inventor will do, it will stop checking right here. So even though you have more in your list, if you have white spaces, it won't see this one anymore. So white spaces are not ignored, but that's kind of like a stop. So it would read until it find a white space, and right there it will stop adding them to right here. As you can see, look, it will just jump back to my master because this one disappeared. It does not see that one. Even though it is still on my list, it still does not see it because the list has white spots or empty rows in between. Okay, so let us just add this row to it. This one is 1500. And of course, by B1, I have to make it 1500. So it's easier if I just scroll up and or copy paste it, whatever you like. This one will be 1250, 1000, and 750, and one more, 500. Okay, so now let us scroll to the right and look for our length. This one is for 481. The following one is 731. Basically, it's more or less the same. So I think, oh no, not exactly. This one is 980, 1250, 1500, and 1750. And we have two more, which is those two. So this one is 2000, and this one is 2500. And of course, I will go ahead here and also make sure my values are the same. Now you save it, make sure save it, and you can then save it here also just in case. Sorry. And now you can see that we have, don't ignore that. It will just save it for you. So the first time you click on it, it will ask you, do you want to change it? You click on yes, and then it would save it. And here we have it. Here you see, you want to save it. I say yes, I want to save it, and then it will just save it for me. So that is how we have our configuration. So now within one block, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 blocks within one block. Without having to have 19 separate parts, I just have one part with different configurations that works perfectly. There is nothing that is going to really go wrong, except of course it takes sometimes a while depending on how much Inventor have to think to suppress those, but furthermore it works perfectly. Now there are some things that does not work properly or does not work at all. Let's say if you have solids does not work, like the visibility of solids does not work. So let's say I have how to explain this one solid and the other solid, my master. Solid does not work with the model state. So if I suppress or make it invisible, it will be invisible for everything. So let's go to this one right here. As you can see, it's also invisible. So even though I was not in this model state, and I made it invisible in the master, it will still be invisible for all the model states because visibility does not work with the model state. Something else that you have to remember also is this right here. Let's go to this part right here so I can show you what I mean. Parts that are dependable. Like this right here is a part that is dependent of this. Let me see, why is it not working? Okay. So this is a part or solid that is dependable of this solid right here. So this solid is dependent of this solid. So what is going to happen? Let's say if I go ahead and make this one active, as you can see, it automatically deletes or suppress that part because that part is dependent of the other part. So let's say I want to unsuppress it again or unsuppress it, it will give me an error because it will try to unsuppress also the other part. So when you're making your part, your master part, remember not to make too much parts dependable on other parts unless they have to do with each other. So meaning if I know this part has to be active in all the model states, then I have to make sure that this part is not dependent of other parts. Um, and the best way to do that is by um, let me just give you make it correct so you can see what I mean. So I will make it again active. As you can see now it is active again. Let's say if I decided to, and also with planes, make sure you do not attach it to any parts that are going to be active and deactivated. It's better to set your planes to yeah, basically things that like your origins that does never come off. So in this case, I would like it to be at this height. So that is 232 and a half. So instead of me making this part on top of this plane, I would just then have to make a plane 232.5. In this case, I'm gonna redefine my sketch and I'm gonna put it on top of this one. So now since I've redefined my sketch, my part is not part of this block anymore, but it is dependent of my work plane. So now in this case, if I go ahead and activate something else like this one right here, see the difference? It is still active. Why? It's because it is not dependable anymore of the other part, because now it is dependable of my work plane. Of course, I'm getting an error now because your sketch has to also be dependable or not dependent of other things. But yeah, so just have that in mind that when you're making parts that has to be on and off or suppressed and these unsuppressed in different model states, that you do not make that dependable on each other, but you make that independable, or else you're going to have a problem when you're trying to put on and take off something. It will still try to put it on because it is dependable on the other one. It's the same like you try to take the other one off and leave this one on, it's going to give you problems. So have that in mind. Make solids dependable and not no, sorry, undependable and not dependable on other solids. So that was a tip. Something else that does not really work properly is the true or false. True or false does not work properly. I don't know why, but it's not into it does not work. Like right here, you can see that my in this state it is on false. So now if I go to, let's say, this one right here, and this one I decided to make it true. Okay. But now if I go back to the old one that was false, and I go into my parameters, oh, this one is well true. Oh, does it works now? Something false. Go in here. You see, as I say, this one I change it to true, and now it's still false because I just changed it here into false. And now if I go here and change it into true, and I want to see it here false or true, it will be true because this one I just changed it into true, so they're all going to change into true. So the true or false does not work, and neither does the text work also in the model state. Only numeric values works. So if I change the numeric value in a specific model state, like how I did for the values of my dimensions, that's the only thing that's going to change in your model state. So the true or false does not change, neither the text. So that was a next tip. And according to me, that was basically all the tips that I had for the model state. So in summary, the model state is very handy because you do not have to have multiple parts to work to configure different configurations. So it is very perfect. It saves you space on your computer, and you do not have to keep a record of all the parts that you have. Um, and you don't have to make 100 or 1,000 different parts for configurations when you could just have everything in one. And since Inventor has parameters that work perfectly, which is the power of Inventor, why not integrate it within your configuration, which they did perfectly. Uh, well, not perfect, but it's let's say 80%. So for something new, that's great. I found it great, and I hope you guys could use it because it saves you a lot of time, especially when you're using it in your drawing. Oh, and last thing, so when you are using it in your drawing, all you gotta do is, let us see. I'm gonna start a new assembly, and I'm gonna copy this part, copy, and I'm gonna paste it. And all you gotta do is go to right click and representation, and here you can see you can select different states and it will change it automatically. That is why it's so super good, because you do not have to have multiple parts, and every time for each one of these states you have to draw a part. And of course right here in your bill of material you can see the active model state will be also your part number or whatever information you have. So like your description and whatever your price is, everything will be there. So it's a super step up for Inventor. I love it. I hope they keep it and I hope they improve it. So that was it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope you learned something, and I will be making more and more videos like these in Inventor, especially Inventor 2022, which I'm working with right now in my project. So bear with me, guys, if I don't post one time or videos behind each other. I would like to know also from you guys what you guys like, what you would like to know about Inventor. I have a lot of knowledge now within Inventor, And of course, for contact for myself, I would like to hear from you guys so that I would know what videos will be relevant for my viewers. And thank you for subscribing, for the subscribers. Thank you for the comments. I've seen comments, guys. Thank you, and don't forget to like this video, of course. And I will see you next time in my next tutorial. Bye for now.